But at least now we know, regardless of what Robyn tries to say in the future, if they end up getting another wife,
we know the reason.
100% for that one reason. Doesn't matter. No takesy backsies. Nope. Sorry. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I was raised in a family with 4 moms and 35 kids. We were members of the FLDS Church, which is a polygamous group run by their prophet Warren Jeffs, who is now serving a life sentence in prison.
I was raised mainstream LDS in Utah. Sam and I have been married for 11 years and have 2 awesome kiddos.
Yes, we do. And today we are back with Sister Wives. Season 20 is officially here, and episode 1, wow.
The editors were amazing. They were phenomenal because they got us all like... Let's be real. I feel like most of us at the end of season 19, we were like, where's this going to go? Come on, guys. Like, let's just let's wrap it up here. And then I couldn't help but get a little excited when I was like, season 20, like, I'm excited to see what's going to be happening. And then this first episode, I'm like, these editors are on fire. They knew exactly what we wanted to see, what we wanted to hear in the very first episode.
Oh my gosh. It was full of the huge Kody saying ridiculous things.
Oh my gosh.
Which we'll get into a little bit later, but wow, holy smokies. Some of the things we had to pause and sit back and say, rewind that. Did he really just say that?
Oh, yeah.
It was nice to see Robyn getting a little bit more open with her questions. And, oh, you mean this? Is this what you're saying? And being a little bit more open and calling him out. So that was nice to see.
And talking to the producers. I feel like season 19, she didn't say anything. She was just kind of sitting back and like so quiet. So this first episode, she had a lot, like she was saying things. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're actually going to hear from Robyn this season, it looks like.
Yeah, I wonder how much more they paid her to get her to talk. Anyway, so we're going to do what we've done in the past where we're going to sum it up based on the individual, because they jump back and forth, as you know, with Sister Wives. A little piece here of Christine, Janelle, Robyn, Meri. They jump around. So we're going to stick with the story based on the person.
Yeah, and first off, because this first episode, probably the least amount that we got was from Christine. Obviously, she's married to David now and is in Utah, seems super happy. She goes out to North Carolina supporting Janelle.
Yeah, still good friends.
Yeah, and they had her like comment on little things here and there, but overall, this episode was definitely more about other things than Christine being happy with David. A little bit about David's personality. I'd say that we're getting to like know him a little bit more, that he's a little competitive, that he's outgoing, more confident. So that was kind of cool to see. Obviously, we love Christine and are excited to see her continue to thrive and be happy with David and be out of all of the other situations.
It did show some clips hinting at the fact that at some point, David and Christine are going to have to face Kody. And Christine did say multiple times, I don't want to talk to him again. I don't want to see him again. I want to move on with my life. Obviously, that's difficult because they have a young child together, truly, who is still a teenager. And so it sounds like Kody is putting forth some effort to be in her life.
Yes. And okay, now I have these quotes because I did read Christine's book.
She has a new book. We have that here somewhere.
And thank you, Christine, for sending it to us. I couldn't put it down, so now I have like those little pieces of information as well. We'll do another video about her book and all that good stuff in another one. But yes, definitely trying to co-parent truly. Obviously, they have some bits of communication. I think Kody even said in this episode that he talks very little to Janelle, even less to Meri, and basically with Christine, it's just like texts and dealing with going back and forth with Truly.
Pickup times
and those kind of things. So that's kind of all there was with Christine. I'd say with Janelle, her being in North Carolina and getting to be close to Maddie and Caleb, them getting the property to be able to have like the flower... I just lost the word for it. Not flower garden.
Flower farm.
Flower farm.
I believe.
The flower farm. Yeah. It was so sweet to hear just how much they still talked about Garrison, how much they were talking about the fact they want to name the road going into the flower farm, Bob's Boulevard, and how they're going to honor him with like a quiet flower garden, and a lot of that, which was super sweet to just see everyone still supporting Janelle. Christine, some of her kids had come out to see the property and be able to celebrate with them as well. So obviously Janelle seems very happy with her move to North Carolina and being close to the grandkids.
Yeah, I was happy to see that they brought up Garrison again and kind of went through some of those sweet memories of him and how much they're still making sure that they have him involved in a lot of different things within their life. And even Christine and David were talking at one point, and talking about how much it affects Christine even at this point. Just some days it just hits her out of nowhere, and just how sad it is that he's no longer around. So I was glad they did bring that up and talk about it.
Yeah, one thing that Janelle brought up that I feel like last season, as Christine was leaving the family and talking to Janelle wasn't really sure about dating or kind of if she'd put herself out there. And I feel like she answered a lot more questions about dating, being open to that. She wants to meet someone organically, but it seems like she's coming around a little bit to the idea of dating and meeting somebody else in the future. One thing that I had to bring up, though, is that she said she did confirm again, though, that she had a spiritual calling to marry Kody, and that she no longer feels that about plural marriage. And I guess I kind of wanted to maybe define or give a little bit of insight that especially when it comes to Mormonism in general, but plural marriage, it's supposed to be a spiritual calling. And later, Kody and Robyn talk about the fact that if they don't have the religion, then what would be the purpose of being in plural marriage for them? It's not polyamory in the way that you think of like secular society deciding that kind of thing. It's very a religious decision. And her saying that she had a spiritual calling, meaning that she felt like God had given her a personal witness that she was supposed to live plural marriage with Kody. And so, I mean, it looks like in the future she might actually get a spiritual release the same way Meri did. It's sounding like she's going to ask Meri about that, because I think she still holds on to tenets of the faith.
Right.
Obviously more than Christine, because Christine's been pretty clear about that. But the fact that she admitted in this episode that she doesn't feel that spiritual calling to plural marriage anymore, it sounds like now all of the wives that have left have kind of put the kibosh on any future plural marriage.
Yes, and another interesting thing that Janelle brought up is she said if they made polygamy legal, then, and this was after her discussing how challenging it's been leaving a polygamous family and not having any legal ties to Kody his estate and what he owns. And then she says, if only they made polygamy legal, it might just end polygamy altogether, because then what guy would want to share his estate with 5 other women or more, or 3, 4, 5, 6 with Warren Jeff's 85, 80, so who would want to share all of that legally with so many people? So maybe it would just bring polygamy to an end.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because she said it kind of in jest. And at the same time, I think she had like a little nugget of truth behind it, because we all know that Janelle has been the person that is the most financially responsible, financially conscious. She's been the bookkeeper for the family, not necessarily in charge of finances, but the bookkeeper. And she had mentioned before the fact that, to leave as a plural wife and not the legal wife, you don't have... I mean, they were married for so long, like over 20 years, closer to 30 years. And there wasn't any legal protection for her as a wife, the same way that it would be if somebody else. And Meri kind of gave up her right by letting Robyn be the legal wife in a situation where then Meri was still part of the family. So she didn't get to leave and be able to have that access to a estate that she would have if they had been divorced in a normal way. Mm-hmm. And so Kody was able to get around all of that, basically, through his plural marriage.
I know that Meri gave up her legal marriage to Kody for a lot of different reasons, and she admitted in that moment anyway that she wanted to do it, that she was choosing this for the betterment of the family, right? Mm-hmm. But I have to wonder, I would love to sit down with Meri at one point and just say, do you regret that decision now? Like, if you had just left in that moment, you would have had legal ties.
Yeah.
If you had just decided, you know what, if you're choosing this, I'm moving on. I don't think she was in any kind of position to do that at that time. She still seemed like she wanted to work it out with him. But man, it would have been a very different scenario if she had just left instead of giving up her legal marriage and then sticking around.
Yeah, for sure. And again, even though Janelle was kind of joking about it, this is something that we've heard from other people as well, people that support and practice plural marriage. Some people have said, let's make it legal as well, in the sense that then people and polygamists could come forward and be able to be more open about crimes. They could be more open about abuse that's happening, maybe from a husband, without the fear. So it's definitely a stance that we've seen and heard before. It's so tricky. Like, it's so much more complicated than what it sounds as to whether or not legalizing that and making it easier in that way would continue to perpetuate abuse or not, because those secondary crimes are what's really prevalent. And it's just a super complicated and really messy situation with the law. So I don't know if that would actually, I don't know. It would solve this one thing that Janelle is talking about. Whether or not it would help or hurt with the other aspects that can cause harm within polygamy, I don't know. That, I guess, would be a discussion for another day. Not in this.
I'm sure there are some guys out there that were practicing and are practicing polygamy because they actually believe it's what God wants them to do.
I think that's why most people are, at least in Utah within Mormonism. Don't you think?
Let's just say, based on some comments that Kody makes later on that we'll get into, it makes me believe that he was not practicing polygamy because he thought that's what God wanted him to do, or at least not the only reason.
I think he flip-flops so much that it's hard to ever know what Kody's initial intentions were.
But my point with this is that, yes, I believe there are some men out there. I believe my father, for example, practiced polygamy because he felt that it was what God wanted him to do. And it was a different scenario too, because he was called on by the prophet and said, you are to marry so-and-so, and now you are to marry another wife. He was more being told what to do. That's different. Yeah. But in the AUB, where Kody and his family come from, they choose when they get married and to whom they are going to marry. So it's a little bit different when they decide, oh, you know what, I feel like I need another wife. Or you see these prophets or leaders of the church that just say, oh, I need another wife because God told me I need another wife. I absolutely think that the leaders of these churches that are just giving themselves all of these wives are not doing it because they actually believe God is having them do it. I think that they are doing it for personal, selfish reasons. And that is why, even if polygamy was legal, they would still be committing all of these secondary crimes. And these girls would be just as young. The abuse would still be there, and these things would still happen. They may have their legal wives, but then they would still be hiding everything else.
Yeah. I also think that people that are doing it for a purely spiritual reason, like your father, for instance, it's also taught within Mormonism that God's law is above the law of the land, obviously, because they're practicing polygamy, which is illegal at this time, right? And so even if they could legally have, in Janelle's case where she's saying, oh, it might get rid of polygamy because no guy's going to want to share his estate 5 ways. If they truly believe that God's calling them to that, they're going to say, well, that's the sacrifice I'm going to have to make. And I don't know if that would actually stop anybody, because they would say, well, I'm doing this because that's what God wants. That's what the prophet told me. And if they get screwed over through the estate later, then so be it. They're still going to say, I still did it because that's what God wants. So, but also where she's saying the people who are doing it for the wrong reasons might think twice if them mistreating their wives could mean that they're going to lose money, especially in some of the groups that are very focused on money, like the Kingstons.
Yep.
If the wife could leave and know that she was entitled to some of her husband's money legally, that could discourage some people too. So,
yeah, but that's also tricky, because within those groups like the Kingstons, you have all of the regular members that have multiple wives that actually don't have a lot of money It's the leaders of that church that are the people with all the money and all the riches, and all of the people below them are not living with much, from what I've heard.
Yeah. I wonder if they made, this is going way longer than I thought we would on this one subject, so I apologize. But my last thought, maybe. I also am curious if, just because it would be legal that you could have multiple legal wives, if you're doing it for spiritual or religious reasons, would they adhere to that law anyway? Or would they continue to just have spiritual wives so they could get around the legality of having to separate their estates?
Would it make any difference?
Would it make any difference if the state of Utah was like, you can legally have 4 wives, and the guy's like, well, it doesn't really matter because you're meant to be spiritual wives anyway, so why would we go and make... you see that argument just with regular marriage, right? Mm-hmm. People who aren't even religious, they're like, why do I need the government to tell me that I'm committed to this person? So I could see them also skirting around and just saying like, we don't need that. And this is a spiritual marriage that's ordained of God. And so why would we care about a marriage certificate?
Yeah.
So I can also see so that it wouldn't end up with women having any extra power anyway.
I think there would be certain people like Brady Williams. I think that would benefit him. I think he would go get legally married to all of his wives.
I think so too.
Because he's kind of left the idea of, oh, this was a calling of God, and just trying to make it work with his family and keep everyone together.
Yeah, so there might be some people.
So it would benefit some people, and I think, like you said, other people would just ignore the whole law because they ignore all the laws anyway. They put God's law above the law of the land, and nobody cares if it's legal or not because I'm doing what God says, of course, is what they say.
Yeah, and I think that they want the least amount of government interference, and anything that's going to give women any type of power or estate is very unlikely to be pushed forward from these polygamous groups, sadly. But I think that's the truth.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Again, that was a long spiel on what Janelle said, but yeah, it's the legalizing polygamy.
We had 2 lines for Janelle here, and we've been talking for 20 minutes.
But it's interesting stuff. But yeah, it was good to see her happy and doing awesome in North Carolina. It was heartbreaking to see Maddie talking about her relationship with her dad. And I think, like, what did she say? She said, you just want your dad to show up, and I'm angry and trying to learn to not be disappointed by him. Yeah. And yeah, my heart just kind of broke. I think it's hard, especially as an adult too. You still need and want your parents. And I think that this is something that's relatable. Lots of people can relate to this, that, when your parents disappoint you, or you wish they were a certain way, or you wish they were a certain grandparent, or that they were more involved in your life. And when they aren't, it's hard to not be disappointed because you love your parents and you want your parents to be who you hope they could be for you, So it's so sad to see that. It
is. And it definitely hit me to see Maddie so sad. I've seen some of my sisters hurting because the relationship between them and my dad and their father, not being there, the relationship just not being there because of choices that we made to leave the religion, and how much that hurts to almost be ignored. And so I can definitely see, and this is interesting because in my family dynamic, there were so many of us, and because of the patriarchy that it wasn't like we had this really close relationship with our father in the sense of, hey, tickle, tickle, tuck me in bed. That kind of stuff never happened. The stuff you would see and the stuff I enjoy doing with my kids, tucking me in bed and roughhousing and playing and reading books, yes. But even still, the relationship with your dad is just very important, and when that's cut and he's not showing up for things, or doesn't seem to care about certain things, it can be very tough. And I've seen that pain and hurt in my own sister's eyes, and of course I feel it as well, but it's different.
Yeah, I feel like, for girls too, I'm a big daddy's girl. And I'm very, very lucky that my dad is very involved in our lives and is like the best papa ever to our kids and stuff. but I try to never take that for granted. Like I recognize and understand, like, and I'm super, super grateful for that because I see all around me too, like even in the regular world, right? You see that all the time. People who aren't lucky enough to have that relationship, and it's sad to see. So I try to never take that for granted.
I do want to, yes, I do want to point out that, of course, my father was put in a very unique, odd situation. I do feel like he was trying really hard to have a good relationship with his children. I think it just, circumstances were wild, and it has been difficult to keep that relationship strong.
Yeah. Meri was next. And her getting ready for her speed dating, which looks like we're going to have to wait until the episode next week to actually see the speed dating.
She seems so happy. Meri just seems so happy. She's laughing and giggling and just seeming to have such a good time with Jen and being free, which I can only imagine how she spent so many years trying to get a reaction, to receive back some of the love she was trying to give to this relationship between her and Kody, I guess there were a couple times where he gave her false hope.
Yeah.
But the majority of how many years?
So many.
10 years where she was trying and he just had no interest.
Yeah.
To finally be free, you can see in her face how much of a burden is just lifted and how happy she is.
Yeah. And I will say, though, that she was a little bit more serious, or you could tell she was a little bit bothered when she said, I didn't choose monogamy for Robyn. She's like, I wasn't going to live that way in that lifestyle just so that Robyn can be a polygamist. And this came on.
Who do you think is blaming her for this?
Okay, it's because, and I don't know in which order they're hearing these quotes, right? It's hard to tell with the editing. Everybody is on their own couches, so it's hard to know what order they're seeing or hearing these things. But at one point, Kody says, we're monogamous, but not by our own choice. And we've heard that from Robyn too. Like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. I didn't want to live monogamy. That's why I chose Kody. And Robyn talks later about the fact that she's like, I had lots of monogamous men that were interested and would have married me. And I picked Kody because I wanted to live plural marriage. So I think Meri's probably hearing this from Kody. She's hearing it from Robyn. She's seeing it all over the place. And that's true. Because Meri was the last to leave, even though I know technically maybe Janelle, I don't know. But we all know, like, Meri was kind of the last hanging on to Robyn for sure. Right. And so her being like, you could just tell she was done with that comment. Like, I'm not going to live this way so Robyn can be a polygamist and feel like a pat on the back, like, yay, I did it. I'm still living plural marriage, even though there's not any marriage for Meri or any happiness there. So she did it made me happy to see a little bit of her feisty side come out when she said that.
Yeah. She's like, I did it for me.
Yeah.
I had to leave. I was in a bad situation and I couldn't just pretend that everything was okay so that Robyn could have her perfect life. Yeah,
exactly. And she even admitted too, she's like, having been a polygamist is making dating harder. It's making her future life already tougher because people either already know her backstory or people aren't interested in dating her because she used to be polygamist. So she was talking about those struggles too. So it's like, she's trying to move forward with her life. She already has the past, I don't want to say haunting her, but like making her future harder, in addition to the fact that they're still filming a show where they have to talk about their exes and their past all the time. I'm like, how many seasons I guess it just depends, but like, how many seasons are they going to be forced to interact in order to keep the show going? Maybe it's worth the money. I don't know. We'll have to ask someone someday and find out, like, okay, is it worth the money to have to deal with your exes in this way at this point? Yeah. But that kind of went into the fact that then Robyn and Kody were talking about the fact that they didn't choose monogamy. It was brought upon them against their wishes. Well, not against Kody's, but it seemed, Robyn's still playing that that's not what she wanted. It's never been what she wanted, babe.
Which is just so interesting that, what did I never understood why she was fighting so hard to keep Meri there, other than it just for selfish reasons. If she actually didn't want to live monogamy, even though her actions were showing that she did, And this is based on what I've heard the other wives talk about.
Yeah.
That Meri, for example, says she tried so hard, and even during COVID during time where there were all of these rules, she was following them and still didn't get any visits from Kody and Robyn. So, and she wasn't allowed to go over to their house. So anyway, it just didn't seem like they really wanted her there, yet the idea of her leaving the family was so hurtful to Robyn. I just never quite understood that.
Well, Kody said he didn't want Meri around because then it inhibited him being able to show affection to Robyn. Like, and
Yeah.
all the rules. Yeah, no, it was very clear that they didn't want to make Meri a part of this plural marriage, which is supposed to be this combined thing at all. So it's super weird. It feels disingenuous when she keeps saying that over and over. Obviously, it's a complicated situation, but then it went into what we've all been waiting for to see, what we've seen in all the highlights and all the stuff about Kody and Robyn having this conversation about, monogamy was forced upon us, and Robyn's getting calls from her family saying, are you gonna live plural marriage? Are you guys gonna look for another wife? Like, what's the deal here? Because from what I understand, Robyn's family is still in the religion.
Yeah.
And it's clear that Kody is not, but I feel like Robyn seems more spiritually torn a lot. I think that if there was a congregation of the AUB in Flagstaff, I get the vibes from her that she would continue to go to church and be a part of that church, or that she wants that, but she kind of can't.
Yeah, I'm like,
situation.
maybe she's looking back and thinking, oh my gosh, I had all of these opportunities to marry a man in monogamy that were like less crazy than Kody.
It doesn't take a lot.
Less of a mess. Less of trying to hide his hair receding. Anyway, but I turned them down for the sole purpose of polygamy, that she wanted to be in polygamy. And so maybe she's holding on to that, like, oh my gosh, like I could have said yes to all of these other guys, that maybe it would have been a great life. She even said it would have worked out great. She said that I could have had a great life with them. Yeah. But I wanted polygamy. So I can see that being complicated, but at the same time,
I don't know. It's mixed signals for sure.
She doesn't seem to have a problem with Kody in the sense of like, I guess they do fight a little bit, but it doesn't seem like they have a big problem just being the two of them.
No. And she talked about the fact she even said, like, if I had a guarantee that it would work out, then I would consider it.
If I had a guarantee that I would win the lottery if I went and bought a ticket, I would definitely go get a ticket.
Go play the lottery?
Yeah, I would definitely do it.
And then we get to, so they're talking about this in this conversation. It was, again, the fact that Robyn was even talking at all, let alone the fact that she said the word sex. I was like,
I was happy to see that she was being more open, honestly. It was nice to see, because she admits that she's shy, and that can come off as being
snobby, she said.
Snobby, there you go, yes. And so the fact that she was opening up a little bit was nice to see. And calling Kody out, she literally called him a pig.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
We need to get into that conversation.
We've all been saying that for a long time, but it was all because they're having this conversation, and Kody says, like, there's something wonderful here. Why would we put that at risk for anything other than, and then it was the other than, right? He's like, why would we put that at risk? And he's starting to sound like sweet, like, I only want to be with you, Robyn. He's like, unless the only reason we did it would be that, I want something more than you do.
And Robyn's like, sex?
Yeah.
At first she was confused. She was like, wait, what?
What are you talking about? Oh, you mean, yeah. And I was just like, okay, so glad that she said what we were all thinking. Like, is that what you're implying? And he was like, yeah, because at this point in my life, that would be the only thing. My primary motivation would be how good looking she is.
Now, first of all, we paused and we said, we cannot believe we just heard that. We rewound it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we went back and listened to it like 3 times to make sure we had that right. I was like, okay. Because I had seen little clips of this like on social media and stuff. And I was like, maybe it's taken out of context. maybe. I mean, we know Kody can put his foot in his mouth, but I was like, maybe this is out of context. We'll see when you actually can watch it all. And then we watched it all, and it was just as bad as what it looked.
I will say, though, not defending Kody here, but just pointing out an observation that after watching it for the third time, I thought, you know what? Maybe he's trying to prove a point that Robyn, doggone it, I don't want to live polygamy, and trying to scare her away from the idea by saying, at this point, I would only do it for sex, and it wouldn't be for religion, it wouldn't be for God, therefore, I don't want to do it. And I think he hinted at that later on in the conversation.
Yeah, he did say, it'd be great if she was hot, but I wouldn't marry her because it wouldn't matter when I'm being nagged. So again, just like such a pig-headed, like the things that he said.
Yeah.
And Robyn did say that. She was like, he's being kind of a pig about it. And yeah, I don't know what he was trying to get at with that. Like you said, maybe trying to be a pig on purpose to try to get Robyn to snap out of it and say no. Because at the end, they pinky promise for monogamy. And he's like, didn't everyone see the mess that plural marriage was? Like, why would I want to do that again? So he seems adamant against it. But then we see like flashes of future episodes where he's like, oh, this girl is asking. I feel like his ego is going to continue to possibly leave open that door for the idea. And the fact that when he said that his comment to begin with, that, oh, I want something more than you do, and she knew what he was talking about pretty quickly.
Well, and he
there's
expands
obviously
on that.
something there's obviously something more there, right? Because he says later, a polygamist gets more than he wants, and a monogamous doesn't get enough.
So once again, he's saying, no, Robyn, I only want us, yet I don't get enough.
Yeah.
Like,
But I'm not getting enough from you that way. So the only way I would be open to someone else is if I could get more of that. And I'm like...
So, but at least now we know, regardless of what Robyn tries to say in the future, if they end up getting another wife,
we know the reason.
100% for that one reason. Doesn't matter. No takesy backsies. Nope. Sorry. Because he says she would have to be a diamond. She would have to be perfect. And she would have to love
so
Robyn.
loyal to Robyn.
She would have to be so loyal and so in love with Robyn that we could be in the same room. What?
Babe.
No. Sorry. He wants.
Cut this out. I'm just kidding.
He wants he wants a relationship that basically he can. I don't even know how to say this without coming off
Crass.
Yeah, we should probably cut this out. But anyway.
No, Robyn did say, she's like, so basically she would just be a concubine. Which goes against, and Robyn said that. She's like, that's the worst reason in the world for polygamy. Because again, Robyn still has that religious aspect. And Kody even said, he's like, how would we even do that if we don't have the religious aspect? And she's like, yeah, it would be hard because of the authority. And she mentioned authority. She's mentioned authority a couple different times and how important that is because, again, within fundamentalist Mormonism, authority means everything. That's why there's all these different sects of Mormonism. That's why you have the mainstream Mormon church and the FLDS and the AUB and the Kingston and all these other groups. It's all about who has proper authority. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
And they all believe they have the one and only.
And they all believe that they have the one and only, and everybody else had gone astray. So that authority, especially when it comes to sealing families, and it's the same whether, the mainstream Mormon church believes that, that it's monogamy, but there's the sealings in the temple, and the AUB, whether it's one or it's multiple, they still believe it's the same sealing authority, right? So you're having that same ceremony, but that authority to be able to seal in heaven and earth is so important. So she's like, yeah, if we couldn't have that authority, then like, what would it even mean?
I don't understand how Robyn can still hold on to her faith at this point.
It would be hard.
Like you see Meri and Christine and Janelle, all of them are just like, at this point, there's just no way this was ordained of God. And they say, yes, we did have these feelings and these spiritual callings as they thought they were having at the time. And whatever those were, I'm not doubting that they had some type of experience.
Yeah.
But now looking at how it all turned out and looking at, that God would put Kody in our lives as this good priesthood leader, holder of the family, like that doesn't seem like it was put together by God based on how it turned out. And I'm just interested, I'm curious where Robyn is with that. Like, does she actually believe that it was all put together by God and that they had these spiritual experiences to be together still, even though it completely fell apart? And if so, who does she blame? Does she blame Kody? Does she blame the other wives that, they couldn't handle it, even though it was called of God? It's their fault?
I think so. I think in season 19, it became pretty apparent that she was blaming the other wives for not sticking to the covenants that they made. And her staying with Kody, to me, speaks volumes that she doesn't fully blame him. I think if she fully blamed him and was like, you're a crappy priesthood holder, father, husband, this is all your fault, I think she would have left him too. I think the fact that she's happy in a monogamous relationship with him means that she still values him as a husband. I think that's the vibe I personally get, but I don't know.
It's hard to know with her. It's hard to know where she stands because she has called him out before and just said things that like she doesn't agree with and that he wasn't doing things right in certain ways, especially with Meri.
But she makes excuses for him though. So like calling him out, I don't even know if you could say that it's calling him out when she doesn't really hold him accountable for it. It's just like this. Oh, he's being kind of a pig right now. Naughty, naughty. But she obviously doesn't think that he is actually truly a pig deep down, or else that would cause deeper rifts in their marriage, right? Oh, I think that you need to try to have a better relationship with your adult children. And then he's like, I don't want to. And she's like, okay. Like at the end of the day, it obviously seems like their marriage is still working. And I don't think that like when she's mostly making excuses for him or speaking Kody, which she always did, right? Like, oh, it's just because the women didn't understand what he meant. She's the only one who truly understands what he means when he says that. Well, that's not really what he meant by saying that he wanted a concubine. That's not what he means. What he means is that he doesn't want another wife. That's what he meant out of all that, right? And so I feel like she's always coming up with excuses, even though she can kind of make it look like it's being called out. I don't think he's actually being called out. Because he even said, he's like, I don't care.
And I have to wonder as well, how much of this is all for show? Like how much of it is
show and money?
It's just like, you know what, I'm going to call him out for his crap, and then we're going to go to our home and forget about all of this stuff and just live our lives. Yeah. And we all know that Kody loves a reaction. He's always fishing. He's just casting a line out there, fishing for those reactions. And he even admits that he doesn't care at this point, what he says, how he says it. He doesn't care. I think maybe it's gotten to the point where without Kody and his crazy off the wall things that he says, people wouldn't be as interested in, what's the crazy thing that's going to happen now, because the way Kody speaks, maybe that's part of the show at this point.
Let's be real. This first episode, seeing the clips of this conversation between him and Robyn is what drew us in.
We're like, wait, we can't believe this is being
what is that what he said, right?
Yeah.
So like they're editing him in a way that's really making for good TV. And maybe he's just come to a point where he's accepted that. And he's like, you know what? I put my foot in my mouth. I say stupid things. I say I don't care. And that makes for good TV. And I can continue to get a paycheck. Yeah. And then I can go home and I can be whoever I am behind closed doors and live my life. But the more unhinged I am, the better our show does, the more money I make. Therefore, no publicity is bad publicity for his ego, because he gets attention.
Yeah.
Because apparently he might not be getting enough attention
right
at home, apparently.
Yeah, I have to wonder if the camera turns off, Kody and Robyn stand up, they walk out the door, and Robyn says, I can't believe you just said that. Or they just say, well, got done with our job, did our duty, on with life. right?
Yeah.
Like, is the conversation continuing? Like, really, Kody? You said that? You actually,
Yeah,
you
are
know?
they working that out behind the scenes? And like, are they working through his pigheadedness, or does she just not care? Leave in the comments what you think. Do you think that Kody is just in it for the paycheck? Do you think he really believes all the absolute garbage that he says and the things that he says that's all controversial? Is it just the show trying to push it? Give us your theories in the comments as to what Kody could possibly be thinking and saying these outrageous things.
Yeah, and thank you so much for, if you're still here, hanging out for us. We did not expect this video to be this long. In fact, this is exactly twice as long as we expected it to be. But wow, it's just such a wild show and wild episode. But
crazy first episode.
Yes, very, very much so. So thank you all so much for being here. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Talk to you later.